I made amazing fried eggs. What's with that?
Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fried eggs. Hello, good morning.
Fried eggs.
This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.
Right, it is 10:24. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo. Coming to you live this morning. Sorry if you caught us on the hop there, but we've all rushed in today because we're very excited to talk about Liverpool versus Chelsea this weekend coming up. I'm Mark Jones. I'm your host today. Rich Garnett is off somewhere, I don't know where. Delighted today to be joined by Ian Doyle, who will be off to see Arne a bit later on, and Morgan King. Hello, Morgan. First appearance for a while.
Yep, hello, back on the pod.
Fantastic. We're here to talk about Liverpool versus Chelsea, but before we start with that, we will just have a word for our sponsors, NordVPN. And as always, we are sponsored by NordVPN. We're delighted to be so. And NordVPN and their app can help you with things like protection for your data whilst traveling, using public Wi-Fi. NordVPN can protect you wherever you are in the world. And for more benefits and more information, download the NordVPN app to your device and click the link in the podcast episode description box below. So, Liverpool versus Chelsea is happening this Saturday. I worked this out. You'll be happy. There's 16 days left in the season. Ian, you'll be delighted to.
I'm very delighted.
You're very excited about that. I know.
Yeah.
The season is about to end.
Is it 17 though?
Is it 17? 16 from now.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
2 weeks. Yeah. Chelsea are coming on Saturday lunchtime.
Yeah.
Penultimate home game of the season. A chance to pretty much put the whole Champions League things to bed. Are you excited? You look it.
Am I excited? No, of course I'm not excited. Bloody hell. Who are they playing? Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Yeah. Chelsea. Yeah, I'm excited.
Who are a shambles?
The reason I'm not excited is because it's a 12:30 kick on Saturday, and everybody just dislikes them. Although I hear people say, "Well, it's good because you can get it out the way, and then you got the rest of your day." And it's like, yeah, but no, I don't like getting up for those games. I'll be honest. But at least it's at home. So
It is, yeah.
not too far to travel. Not far from my house, as
No.
we say on Twitter. Do we say Twitter? We can't really. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Yes, if they win,
It's done. It's done.
it's kind of not done mathematically, but
City,
it more or
Brentford
less
Wednesday.
is.
Big goal difference swing,
massive.
isn't it, to get it back from there.
You're expecting Liverpool to lose a lot in their last two games and Bournemouth to win all three, of which one of them is, as you said, against Manchester City. So, I mean, given the Liverpool season, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
No.
But, I think overall the 3 points would do it. But yeah, I mean, we went through all the United game, didn't you, earlier this week? Don't really want to go through that again. I had to sit through it and watch it. I mean, it was awful, wasn't it?
It was.
The quality of
Yeah.
the game from both teams. I mean,
Third
it
and
was,
fourth
it-
best teams
it
in
was-
the country.
And then you saw Aston Villa, who were absolutely hopeless against Tottenham. I know they were good against Nottingham Forest, but last night. But they were playing against the 15th place team in the Premier League, so not the most toughest European task they've got. Whose best player was obviously missing because he got smacked in the head by a Chelsea player who might not be playing. See, I've linked this around. You see,
You've
it's
done
very
well
good.
there.
Yeah. So obviously Chelsea's last game was against Forest, in which they were absolutely atrocious. Lost 6 in a row.
Yep.
If it wasn't for João Pedro's rather good goal, actually, to be fair, it would have been 6 games without even scoring. But again, Liverpool's season. If a team is on a bad run, one of the teams you want to be facing next is Liverpool.
I remember sitting here and we were having these conversations just before Liverpool played Tottenham, and it was the Igor Tudor Tottenham.
Yeah.
And they were a laughing stock, weren't they? So Chelsea are coming to Anfield 6 games, having lost 6 games in a row. Even in this Liverpool season, it just feels like just get it done, and then we can it's put it all to bed, then, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's one of them games, like you say, with Tottenham, where there's not really any excuse not to get 3 points. Chelsea are in a bit of a spell at the moment where I feel like it's quite comparable to the spell we were in maybe before Christmas, where nothing just seems to be going their way. And for them, it's obviously happened at the worst possible moment of the season. It's basically just handed us Champions League qualification on a plate. But Liverpool still need to go out there, do the jobs, get the 3 points in the bag. And I've not seen a lot in recent weeks to give me the confidence that they're going to make that easy. But I mean, if you can't put your house on this one, then how can you get up for any game? Like, this is a game Liverpool should win. And I know we've said that so many times this season, and that hasn't been the case. But you just want to see them put in a half-decent performance against a really, really poor Chelsea side, if we're honest.
Do you think, Chelsea are back to, what's his name? Callum McFarlane as the manager. Yeah. Do you think, looking at them and obviously Rosinha and everything that happened there, Maresca feels like it was already a long time ago. Looking at them in the season they've had, and then you can look at other big clubs, Tottenham being a big example, does that put into perspective what's happened with Liverpool? Because Liverpool are probably going to come in this top 5. We've sat here all season saying it's not been a good season, but the minimum target looks like it's done. On the process to being done, almost done. But you look at the mess Chelsea are in, and it could have gone like that, couldn't it? It could have unravelled in that way at one point.
Yes, but since Liverpool won the Premier League, Chelsea have won the Conference League. They've been crowned the Club World Champions of the prestigious FIFA Club World Cup, in which they are officially the greatest team in the world. And there's a very good chance, I think, that they're going to win the FA Cup by beating Man City. So what a terrible state of affairs they're in. This is why Chelsea are just a totally unique team, a club, in the sense that they just seem to be able to just do whatever they want, have transfer bans, this, that and the other. Yet they still, every couple of years, if not every year, they get to a final or win something. Because if you go back to, that was 2025, 2024, they got to the League Cup final, lost to Liverpool. Yep. 2023, I can't remember, that's too far ago. 2022,
League Cup final again.
And the FA Cup final, yeah. 2021, they won the Champions League. So it's like 2020, I think they got to the Cup final and got beat by Arsenal.
And in 2021, that's Tuchel, isn't it, when they won the Champions League? And
so,
how many managers ago was that?
So this is the thing, is that they seem to be the complete... They just defy all the rules. They're just like this kind of outlier. They just do what they want, and that's Chelsea for you, which is exactly what makes me think for this game on Saturday that they'll be like, you know what, we're rubbish, but we're going to show that we're not that rubbish really, because they've got players that if they can be bothered to get their finger out, a bit like Man United really, I think, is that because they've spent so much money on so many players, they can't all be hopeless, and they're not, and they can just go for 20 minutes and turn around and just play really well, and then that's kind of it for Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool obviously lost, you were there, to Chelsea this season earlier. Last season, obviously, it was a bit of a non-game for Liverpool because they just won the league, they got beat there. But when they played them at home 1-2-1, I thought Chelsea were the best team Liverpool played last season, so it wasn't, and that's not that long ago. So...
Felt like a real kind of statement point in the season that at the time. Yeah. Curtis Jones against Parma, that game,
and
wasn't it?
People will say, well, look at that. I think they were both near the top at that time, and now look at them both. But in answer to your question, I suppose it puts into context Liverpool's situation, but it's the fact that it's the expectations. I think everybody, because they're used to Chelsea, don't think anyone's surprised that they've struggled a bit. I think people are a bit surprised that Liverpool have struggled as much as they have. But as you said, they could end up finishing fourth, which was only one place below what I predicted them anyway, without wishing to sound like I knew what I was talking about. I also said Arsenal win the league and Man City's finished second, by the way. And I also said that Maresca and Arteta said if one of them doesn't win the Premier League or the Champions League, they get sacked. And of course, Maresca's already gone, and Arsenal have already won the Premier League, as far as I'm concerned.
Pretty much,
yeah. And Champions League, slightly more difficult, but if they get a few corners, they'll beat Paris Saint-Germain. That's not even a joke.
I mean, that's a tall ask.
I mean, well, they'll get some corners.
They've got tall players.
They'll get some corners. I'm just doing anything to not talk about Liverpool because I'm just so bored with it now.
Yeah. Well, more can you talk about Liverpool then, because we're on Liverpool podcast. So that'd be handy.
If I must.
How do you see the team? So I mean, it's a little bit difficult because Arne Slot's moved his press conference, as we mentioned, so we don't have the very latest team news, but. Going into this game off the back of United, which was, let's be honest, it was deflating, wasn't it? It almost felt, even the night before when there was sort of news about maybe Isak's injured and obviously the game plan changed and things just never quite worked out, and then they had the horrendous first sort of 15 minutes, got back into it, found a way to lose it. Is there Like, where are you in terms of from that game going into this one? Is there confidence? Can they get better? Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, they can definitely get better. I think, you know, in terms of the attacking performance, it'd be hard to get much worse. And to a degree, obviously, that's understandable with the number of players that were out injured. You've got a defender playing right wing. You've got Florian Wirtz playing in a position that is not his best position. Really, I think he's shown this season when he has performed well that he's almost he's better coming from those deeper areas, linking play up, and you know progressing the play up the pitch. When he's isolated up front, he gets bypassed way too easily in the press. And then you see what you saw against United, where you've got their attackers just basically running against our defenders and very little to show for up top. I think Slot has to take a bit of a risk in his lineup with this game. If Isak is still out, we can't see that front three again. I think with 3 games remaining, Champions League basically boxed up, Rio Gamoa is absolutely desperate for a start against his old club. I think if you throw him in from the start, you can always take him off if you think, you know, we need to save his legs or we don't want him to play too much or, you know, rely on him in the final minutes of a game and put too much pressure on him. But we've got to see some more dynamism in that attack. So that's where I think, you know, we'd be looking to change. I mean, hopefully we get some positive news later in the day and Isak is fit. But, you know, as we've seen this season, Isak being fit is kind of subjective. You know, he's not really been properly match fit at any point this season. Obviously, the closest he came was when he broke his leg against Spurs. But, you know, you do want to see him just play as many minutes as possible in these last few games, try and build that up a bit. So if he is ready to play and there's not a risk of re-injury, then I would start him. But failing that, I think I really do want to see Rio. I do want to see something a bit more from that attack and just go from there, really. Just try and play with a bit of freedom because I think that's the advantage Chelsea are going to have coming into this game. They haven't got a manager whose job feels like it's on the line. Like he knows he's not going to be the manager.
His job is.
Yeah, exactly. The players, they've already missed out on Champions League football. And I think the one concern for Liverpool, for Slot and the players, is that Chelsea come into this game with a sense of freedom. So I think we need to match them for that. We need to start on the front foot and we need to put our best attackers on the pitch, whoever that is.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, we haven't heard from Slot yet, but the injury issues, the 2 main ones, Isak and Alisson, obviously missing at United. The noises Slot made then were that he expected them back this weekend, but again, you're never quite sure, especially with Alisson. It would just be a boost, wouldn't it, if you saw those names on the team sheet on Saturday?
Alisson.
Both.
Yes, but I think we've only got 3 games left now, so I think we're kind of... It's weird, isn't it? It's like I don't think anything that happens over the next 3 games is going to make any difference to anything that might happen in the summer regards signing players or getting rid of personnel or this, that and the other. Although, of course, if they lose the 3 games and they don't qualify for the Champions League... But then I do think that I just can't see that happening, to be honest. I don't think that'll happen. But
more of the other teams, isn't it? The other teams
exactly. They've got to win all of the games. I mean, Brighton were going to be the ones that I was not afraid of, but was thinking they're the most likely. And then they ended up getting beaten Newcastle and they had a big kick-off, didn't they, with Jason Tyndall, I think, at the end of the game. Yeah. Which
I mean, most people have a big
exactly.
kick-off.
Yeah.
Jason Tyndall,
I never ever got onto him, you know. I never got onto him until my brother, who goes to the Liverpool matches, he sits near the dugout and he's like, he messaged me after one game a couple of years, went Jason Tyndall, lots of swear words after it, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Do you remember there was that Twitter account a couple of years ago with all the pictures of him, just Jason Tyndall in the middle of pictures. Just
yeah. There we go. That's another 2 minutes not talking about Liverpool.
Yeah,
it's good. This, yeah. I mean, the goalkeeper situation is interesting for me because obviously Mamardashvili, I don't think we'll see him again this season because either Alisson's going to be fit for the last two or 3 games, or Woodman or he won't be, and Woodman will be in goal, I think. Woodman did very well against Crystal Palace. Didn't have much to do against Everton. Against United, bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Although I don't necessarily think he was at fault for anything. I mean,
you can nitpick on the Sesko goal, but then if that gets disallowed, no one's talking about it.
Exactly, because it's handball, and I don't understand anybody says it's not. Whether that's a rule that anyone likes, we don't like it, but it's the rule, and if it's been used against your team all season, why was it not used against that team then? It's basically my view on that one. Not quite like the PSG handball, they're totally different.
Yeah, which was just
blasted against his own teammate. Yeah, that's not handball. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that isn't handball actually. So. Yeah, talking about Alisson, Okay, he's not played for parts of the season anyway, so it feels. I mean, it'll turn out like
he's missed like the last sort of 8-9 games, doesn't he?
He's missed the last 8 games, and he had a chunk, didn't he, earlier in the season where he was missing, and it'll probably turn out that he's played something like 35 games or something, but it doesn't feel like he's played many games. And the way Liverpool have gone this season, it feels like he hasn't really made any saves because most of the chances Liverpool give away are that straightforward for the other team.
Yeah.
That it's like he's got no chance of saving them. I mean, there's been 1 or 2 where he has done, but there's not been many one-on-ones, has there, where he normally does his good saves from that.
No.
Because of the way the other teams have played, they've gone, well, we're not going to try and get in behind. I think there was one against Brentford where he did, and he wasn't in goal. It was Mamadashvili was in goal.
Right.
And I'm sure somebody watching this now or listening will go, what about this, and this? But
I've just thought the Wolves goal, the first Wolves goal at Molineux, where he runs through, doesn't he? He's hit kind of on an angle.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Which he's like, you wouldn't say it's a 1-on-1, but he hit it across him.
Yeah, that was a good finish to be fair.
Yeah,
It was a really
was.
good finish, actually. Yeah, but the fact that we're struggling a little
Yeah.
bit.
I mean, there's obviously a wider conversation around Alisson as well about his future at the moment. And
Well, we both in agreement that he's leaving.
yes.
Just our view. There's nothing we've heard anything, but I think you look at the way things have gone, and what makes me laugh actually, just talking generally on the fact that Salah and Robertson are going, and it could be Alisson as well. People go, look, Slot. He says all these players are leaving. It's like they're old. You know what I mean? It's like Salah. Unfortunately, he's dropped off this season, and it will be, for me, it'll be very interesting to see where he ends up. Very interesting whether another European team comes in for him, because if they don't, then that kind of tells you a little something. It probably tells you he earns a lot of money as well. With Robertson, he was in and out of the team last season anyway, and I didn't agree with those players. I didn't agree with, imagine if they said this. There's people who said that get rid of him kind of thing. No, because we've seen, he didn't play particularly well against United, but he's still done parts this season. He's been important in big games, actually. Look at Everton, for example.
Felt like United was like a game too far, didn't it?
Yeah, which is exactly the reason why they brought Kerkez last summer. So there's that. And then with Alisson again, the last 2 seasons he's not played all the games. And, as we've said this so many times, is that you may as well be me if you're not playing. You're worth as much as me because I'm brilliant when I'm not playing. You know what I mean? So, as we all are. So in that respect, the question is probably then, they invested a lot of money in Mamadashvili, so you've got to assume that he's going to be, if Alisson goes, the number 1 next season, because Liverpool don't have infinite resources, and if you're spending £30 million or whatever it was on a goalkeeper that you signed the year before, then you bring him in for a year, you're not then going to spend another 35-40 million on the top goalkeeper. Then it's like, well, which goalkeeper could you bring in anyway? There's very much a dearth. I know you're going to say something. There's a dearth of players, I think, full stop, in almost every position because there's always players you can sign. This is the great myth, is that people are irreplaceable. There's always footballers. There's always somebody.
There's footballers all throughout this Premier League. There's teams,
But I think what we should see now, hopefully for me, is a move away from people being absolutely obsessed with individual players and more concerned about the fact that football's a team game. So you don't necessarily always have to sign the big name and the big money player. You just need the right player. And they may not be the best one in that position overall, but they could be the best for the team. And I think that's the problem Liverpool have had this season, is they've signed 2 really good players, and Isak and Wirtz. Obviously, Isak, we mentioned before, has not played much, and Wirtz not always in his best position. You've got to start playing players in the positions that they should be there for, and you've got to start buying players to service everybody else. And I think that's the problem they've had all season, is that they started to do that last summer, and they realised very early on that, we need some more, and they couldn't do much about it, and then a lot of them got injured anyway.
I mean, it is, I think what people are having trouble with is this idea that 2, definitely 2, potentially 3 massive figures in Liverpool's past sort of 8-9 years going out the door in Salah, Robertson, Alisson, and it's making people a little bit edgy, I think, isn't it? But as I'm completely agree with Ian. Like, time moves on. You have to move past these players, and they're not gonna go and find the next ones. When Andy Robertson signed from Hull, nobody was expecting to be sitting around the table here 9 years later talking about him in the way we are. Salah as well, you can say in the same breath. Alisson maybe a bit different. When he was signed, we all sort of knew what was coming.
The Messi of goalkeepers, they called him. Yeah,
goalkeepers. But how do you see it at the moment? Obviously, 3. We're talking as if it's 3. It's definitely 2. It's potentially 3 huge names going out. how do Liverpool replace him?
Well, that is the $1 million question. I think
Thank you.
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement broadly that, you know, when players reach that age that they are no longer performing to the standards that they were, you're at your best. Your best option basically is to look for a replacement. Obviously, I think with Alisson it's a little bit different because I haven't really seen his levels drop massively this season. I think what Ian said about the chances that we've been giving up, you know, there's only so much he can do about that. With the other two, I think Robertson's been on the decline for the last couple of years. Salah, as much as he was brilliant last season, he's just been so far off his level this year that for me it's impossible to think that that's exclusively a tactical issue or, you know, in terms of a fit with the new players that have signed. I think he is kind of slowing down a bit. If you look at his dribbling stats, he's getting nowhere near as many, he's winning nowhere near as many 1v1s with defenders as he was previously. And I think we can not necessarily upgrade that position because he's got the experience and goals that you are going to have to replace, ideally with Isak starting to step up a bit more. But you do need someone a bit more quick, a bit more dynamic, a bit more able to beat people on the dribble, particularly if Slot stays in charge, because we know that, you know, that's something he really values in his wingers from his time at Feyenoord. But with these three players going, it's less that I don't think now is the right time for them to go, more that I'm just a bit concerned by kind of the lack of activity of bringing in, you know, older, more senior players. And we talk about, you know, that transition when when Klopp built his first great team, you had figures with a lot of experience in that squad. You had James Milner, you had Jordan Henderson, obviously wasn't quite as old at that time, but he'd already been at the club for, 5-6 years and he was already the captain. The problem we're having now, I think, is Virgil van Dijk is probably, we're going to have to assume that he's probably going to go at the end of this contract. I hope he doesn't go any earlier than that. But I'm a bit concerned about kind of the speed at which all this is happening, because we had, obviously 2 seasons ago, we had a summer where we didn't really sign any players. And at that point, we already knew these players were going to be on the decline. So there hasn't been the same level of succession planning that you saw when, Luis Diaz comes in 6 months before Mane leaves, stuff like that. So we're probably going to get onto this later, but I think what Liverpool needs to target this summer is, alongside youth and potential, also have a look at trying to do some clever signings. Signings with a lot of Premier League experience, with a bit of leadership capacity. Maybe just 1 or 2 figures in there who can play a number of different positions and just add a bit of nous to the team, really.
Well, we might as well stick with it now. I mean, someone mentioned it to me as on the way in. Some conversations around potentially looking at someone like Jarrod Bowen to sign for Liverpool. Just use him as an example. Now, West Ham look likelier now than Tottenham to go down, given that point, that the win that Villa got, the Tottenham got over Villa. He would offer Premier League experience, this thing that everyone likes to value. Would a player like that, I'm not necessarily saying him, but 1 or 2 players like that coming into a squad with Wirtz and with Isak and Ekitike and these star players, 1 or 2 players who just know the league and know what it's like to go away to Sunderland on a Wednesday night and work hard. Well, Liverpool won there this season, didn't they? But that's the sort of sign you'd like to see come in. Yeah, I mean,
Bowen specifically, if West Ham go down, I'd try and do that in a heartbeat. I think, yes, he's not really the age profile we look for, and as a winger, you are going to be concerned that within a couple of years he's going to start to lose his pace. But he's never been a player that's relied massively on his pace. He's more capable of dribbling and, coming inside, shooting, and he can play a couple of different positions as well. I think with Ekitike out for the foreseeable and not knowing what kind of a state he's going to come back in, I think it's unlikely that Liverpool are going to go out and sign another out-and-out number 9. I just don't think that's the model that FSG have done for the last 10, 15 years, and you can argue with that all you like, but I think they are going to want to leave space to reintegrate Ekitike when he comes back. And obviously you've got to consider that we've got Ngamoa coming through as well. So having, 7 or 8 senior attackers is probably not going to happen. I mean, what we are going to see, though, is Salah leaving. And what we are almost certainly going to see is Chiesa leaving. So you are looking for me at, bringing in 2 attackers. One of them has to be an out-and-out winger, and I think the other one has to be able to do a little bit of number 9 as well. Because if we're just relying on Alexander Isak and trying to get maybe Jadon Dan's back fit as a backup, that's not a situation I want to be going into at the start of the season. But Bowen, he's got the right profile. He's got the ability to kind of do that Mo Salah role in a kind of light version. And I struggle to see how he could be much worse than Salah's been this season. You know, as he's not going to have the long-term impact that Salah did, but for a couple of years as a kind of like, you know, holding the fort down till we can get someone in, because obviously that profile of player, a left-footed attacker, is very hard to get. We're not going to get Michael Alisson. I'm sorry. I wish we could. But, you know, I think Bowen, we could do a lot worse than bringing someone like Jared Bowen in. And then I think we're probably going to look to do something similar at centre-back as well, because the age profile of our defenders, you know, Van Dijk's probably coming into the last 12 months of his contract. He might leave. And then the next one down is Konate, who's 26, I believe. So, you know, you do want a bit more experience at the back as well. So, yeah, I think Bowen and maybe one more in that kind of age range would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, just taking names out of it, I think the age thing is the important one, isn't it? To raise that slightly bit more experience, the type of thing which you think has let them down at times this season. Just those little, I mean, the moments you think about when they played Man City in the FA Cup, where, you know, it's just for half time, just get rid of the ball and get into half time 1-0 down. Things like that. Just players with that little bit more experience would have been nice, I think, at points this season.
Well, you're looking at somebody who's kind of in the kind of peak years, prime years, say between 27 and 30, who's got lots of experience of playing in the Premier League, and who was not really relied on the pace, but they got experience in Europe and internationals. And oh look, there's Alexis McAllister. He exactly is that.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. They've got a player like that there, but because he's not been at the same levels that he has been previously, in the last 2 years, that people are going, let's get rid of him. Because I think of all the positions, is probably midfield they need to sort out. That's why they've been giving up so many chances. That's why they've not been creating the amount, the quality of chances that they needed to. Because if you actually look at it, I think it's changed now. I think from the game on before going into the game on Sunday, Liverpool had the most shots in the Premier League and Man United were second, like miles away compared to the rest of them. But Liverpool's with also the best team at converting their shots on target compared to anybody else. But the problem is they haven't scored as many goals, which just tell you that a lot of their shots are from either miles away or, you know, not the quality that's needed to create these efforts on target that they convert. So in terms of when they've actually got the ball in between the sticks, they're better than anyone at converting the chances, but they're not getting the ball there. Now that might be because of the way that they play on the slot. It might be because they've had no centre forward for part of it, because obviously Isak's been unavailable and Ekatike now. But the midfield for me is where it all needs to get sorted. You need to find out where's Vert's going to play. I agree with Morgan that he has to play number 10. Szoboszlai, I think, is going to end up, and you've seen this over the last couple of games, maybe not the United game, but the three before that, he's played as one of the two defensive midfielders, and he had Curtis next to him at the start of one game, for Fulham, wasn't it? He had McAllister next to him for the game against Crystal Palace, and he had Gravenberch next to him for the Everton game.
You feel like Gravenberch and him are going to be the two. They're the two players that
but then
they're giving Gravenberch the contract. They want to give Szoboszlai the contract.
And they haven't given McAllister one.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're necessarily going to be shoving him out because of the reasons that I've just mentioned then. I mean, I think he'll be better next season wherever he goes, even if he's still at Liverpool. I think we mentioned it before we came in here, that it might turn out that he's had this kind of crazy injury that nobody
he's
knew.
Also had about 4 years of continuous football.
Yeah,
I think,
you get tired.
Go right the way back to the World Cup. 4
years of continuous podcasts. It's hard work coming up with new stuff. So.
But you have 4 years of Argentina at the World Cup. You're playing for Brighton, for De Zerbi's Brighton, so he's running around like mad. Yeah. You know, you play for Klopp's Liverpool, so you're running around like mad as well. Then you're in a slot team, which obviously plays differently, but you're a very important part in that. And he was getting picked every week last season, and he was brilliant. This season, you've seen it.
But I think that with Slot, I think he's the kind of manager. Let's just assume he's going to stay in charge because we've not had anything different. That if he likes you in terms of what you can do, he doesn't like to rotate. I think that might be something that might change next. I think it's changed a little bit this season.
Yes.
I think it'll be changed again next season. I think there'll be a bit more of it. I think he wants more players that he believes he can rely on in the system, whatever system it is that he wants to play. And you look at someone like Endo, who barely played last season, who actually, to be fair, he came in, didn't he, at right, one of the many at right back at Sunderland, was really good. And it's that kind of attitude that I think Liverpool need a little bit more of. There's nothing wrong with somebody just going to go in and get stuck in, and and the players respond to that. There's a reason why the rest of the players love him because of what he does. He's the most technically gifted player. No, but he's a lot more technically gifted than you think. I remember Liverpool played City 1-1 2 seasons ago.
Oh, he's fantastic, yeah.
And
League Cup final that year as well.
And Guardiola said, look, he says, they've changed their midfield. They've now got Endo in there. Endo and McAllister playing these 1-2s with Szoboszlai and this, that, and the other. And it was like, if he's coming out and saying that, then there's no reason for him not to say that. But obviously, Slot changed it, and they did win the league. Remember last season they did win the league, and they won it by a lot. By a lot by having that midfield. So can't have been that bad, but it has changed with Wirtz coming in. Who, he didn't have an amazing game at Man United. He did play very well against Crystal Palace, and I mean, I saw somebody saying like he's been a failure. It's like no, he's not. No, he's not been a failure. I think he'll be. He's the one player out of all of them that I'm not even worried about because I think he'll just be great next season.
I think he will as well.
Regardless of who it is that's playing in front of him, because he'll know what he needs to do. And it's like, he should have acclimatised to the Premier League by now. Well, he has. Look at the end of the Crystal Palace game. He's chasing somebody down, winning a throw-in out of nothing, and then getting in the box and scoring from it. So what more do you want someone to do against a team like Crystal Palace as well? But my initial point is the midfield needs a bit of work. I'd be getting in a defensive midfielder, and if it's somebody who's a little bit older, fine. If it's not, then that's probably even better. I mean, you look at, they were going to sign Caicedo, who's obviously coming up against them on Saturday for 110 million, wasn't it? And ended up signing Endo instead. So it's obvious that back then they realised they needed something in there. Does Slot really want to do that? Probably not. He likes his technical players, but I think we've seen this season that the Premier League has moved away from that a little bit. It's moved more towards the, even like, Rodri and Nico at Man City. They're very, certainly Rodri's top level. He can do it all kind of thing. And he's a bit of a unit as well. So if you can get someone in like that, great. But again, where did he get him from? Was it Sevilla? Or Valencia? It's one of those two, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
And he didn't cost a lot of money, did he?
He'd gone to a couple of teams in Spain, hadn't he? Bounced around a little bit.
Yeah.
If you want to feel for a bit, I can Google it right now. But
okay,
I'm sure he had a couple of clubs in Spain before he ended up at City.
Anyway, the point being is that there's obviously room for that kind of play, and Liverpool don't have it in their squad. And I think that
Villarreal and Atletico.
That's it. And I think that would be that and a right winger. If you got, because they've already got a centre back coming in, I think that's fine because we've got to assume Canate's going to sign a new contract. They're the two big things. If Alisson goes, they need a reserve keeper. They need a right back, and then possibly another versatile attacker on top of that, which means that's 5. Which, in the world that we live in, is not loads. My worry, as I've said all season, is that they'll bring 5 or 6 in and then get rid of 6. No. You bring 5 or 6 in and you get rid of 4.
Yeah.
And then you've got Ungamoa and
3 even,
Yoni on top of that as well. And you've got a big enough squad because the squad's not been big enough all season, has it?
No, that's been one of the major problems, hasn't it? Busy summer ahead then, and busy summer for Richard Hughes. He'll need to be on his phone a lot, won't he?
Busy summer for Richard Garnett as well. He'll probably be on his phone,
Richard Garnett will be on his phone. I mean, the two big hitters, Richard Garnett and Richard Hughes.
Big move.
Will be on the phones, possibly to each other, discussing transfer-related activity. They'll want to be able to do that in any country they're in. And so they want an eSIM, and they can have Saley for that. So Saley is an affordable, easy to use and sustainable eSIM service. Gives reliable mobile and internet connections from anywhere in the world. You can have a fast and reliable internet connection upon arrival in your destination, Richards, and it's got built-in cybersecurity features as well, which helps with web protection and malicious ad blockers, which Garnet definitely needs that one. So for all benefits and more information, download Saley in the App Store. In the podcast episode description box below. Also, before we move on, we've been nominated for an award. Yeah, I know you're shocked. You're right to be. We've been nominated for an award.
Most Sarcastic Podcast.
Yes, the Most Sarcastic Podcast Awards in the Publisher Podcast Awards. We've been shortlisted. No, wait, it's the Best Sports Podcast in the Publisher Podcast Awards, which I'm glancing at Ian, our producer, because Ian is also involved, of course, in the Everton podcast that we produce here. The Royal Blue Podcast is also nominated, so it is a Liverpool versus Everton battle, as well as Newcastle, did you say, and a couple of others.
Is this the one that the Rugby League one's in as well? That's really good, that one, to be fair. That is good. That is good.
Would you vote for that one?
Probably.
Yeah. But if you're not going to vote for that one.
I mean, it's hosted by a former player.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
As opposed to this that we have here.
Well, you're a different kind of player.
Yeah, true. Anyway, so that's nice, though. We're up for an award, which is lovely. So hopefully, I don't think it's a vote. It's not a public vote type thing. I don't need to say call this number now or anything. Or
Should we just say call this number? Just give out Theo's number, just to see what happens.
Let's not do that. Let's instead get back to Liverpool versus Chelsea, which is happening on Saturday, and we'll just go straight into it. So, team selections. Morgan, we'll start with you.
We're up to that bit already.
Yeah.
Has anything else happened this week? I've been off for about 3 days. So.
We can do the tickets. We go into the tickets,
to be fair, that is
actually.
actually
We should do
to
the
be fair,
tickets.
that will be interesting because that will totally change the atmosphere at the last 2 home games.
It's going to be more uplifting.
I think it's
now.
the right thing in the sense of I did think it was a bit odd.
I wasn't at Palace. I didn't see it. But
no,
it was...
I mean talking about the tickets thing now. I thought it was a bit odd in the sense of we're doing this 3 years thing, which I thought was a little bit strange. Look, Liverpool can argue all they like about the cost of, the cost of whatever going up, which the cost of everything is going up. We all know that, but it's very difficult. And also, if you look at the ticket prices at Liverpool compared to some other clubs like Aston Villa, where they're going next week, the Aston Villa prices are ridiculously expensive. Like I looked at, it was like, what? So in that sense, it's value for money, but everything's going up. But we just see that the players and thingies get paid an absolute fortune, and it's hard to tally the two. So they've kind of, I think it's a bit of a compromise, isn't it? Is that they're going to put the prices up 3%, isn't it?
They're
season
sticking by
coming
the
up,
first season, aren't they?
Yeah, and then there's going to be a freeze for the following season, and then they're going to have a look. And I think essentially the club just bought themselves 18 months to see what the reaction is to that. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if nothing happens after that in the sense that they just freeze it because
when it comes
it's also
again,
supply and demand, isn't it? It's like the only reason these ticket prices will ever stop is 2 reasons. One, if they all walk out like they did with the £77 one, which was now more than 10 years ago now, and the prices are still nowhere near that for those seats. So that absolutely worked, and that even at the time it was like that's just ridiculous. You can't do that. They totally misjudged it. FSG. With this one, we obviously saw the protests. Don't necessarily agree with those who thought that the ticket prices going up a bit was an existential crisis for the club. Don't think that was right. I think that was harming the argument a little bit, in my view. But overall, the protests have quite clearly worked in the sense that it shows that if you are a supporter, you've got a voice, use it, and the club will listen. It was interesting that this was the week as well that quote came out from John Henry from his email to, I can't remember who it was. It was a magazine in America. He was basically talking about, he won an award. He gave them an award for like sports owner or something like this. And he said about they listen to the fans. He was referring to Boston Red Sox at the time, but also he made reference of Liverpool beat Man United 7-0, and I can see a big, FSG out plane going across the top. I can't even remember what that was about. What was that about now?
Was it Grand Klopp? I remember because I looked at this and I'd forgotten about that as well. There was speculation around Klopp at the time because it had not been a good season, had it?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like when things aren't going particularly well, not a great time to announce anything that's going to
that was my problem with this one.
Impact the supporters. Yeah, if they'd have done it last year, it would have been better. I mean, the optics were terrible. But, as I say, they've listened to the fans, and it shows that the fans do have a voice. And it'll be interesting to see what happens at other Premier League clubs now, because obviously across the, I'm going to say across Stanley Park, and keep going. Across the city. Everton, the ticket prices have gone up, and I don't necessarily, Ian, our producer, can fill me in on this. Not in that way. Quite handy, aren't you? Yeah, to be fair. His reputation goes. Anyway, what's the reaction being from Everton supporters on it?
I'll put my mic on so
we can hear you. That would help. Yeah,
I think it was largely disappointed.
But not angry.
Yeah, I think it was anger at the time.
But are they going to be doing any protests for the game, or
I think it's just been largely accepted at this moment in time that Everton probably did need to put the prices up
because of the new stadium.
New stadium, and just to fall in line with probably other Premier League clubs as well. I mean, I'm not too happy because mine's gone up by £75. So that is a lot for me.
Yeah, but yeah.
A lot of people were suggesting, it's only gone up by £45 for the season ticket, and that was worked out to £2.50 a game. But mine's gone up by £75. So yeah, I wasn't too happy with that about it.
Well, there you go. That's what's happening at Everton.
There's no protests at this moment in time, which I know Liverpool have been quite good. Liverpool fans have been quite good recently in the past couple of years of stopping price hikes, haven't they?
And the thing with like Morgan FSG have quite often, John Henry, everyone there has quite often been quick to reverse decisions, haven't they? They do love a U-turn, and this one, should they be commended for the fact that it has happened quite swiftly? Really?
No.
Should they be commended for actually coming up with it in the first place?
No.
I think, these U-turns we've only seen when the fans have put the pressure on them. And I think that's the positive we got to take from this. I think, I think any ticket price increase at this point is unjust because of the extent to which football ticket prices have inflated since before I was even born, to be quite honest. Obviously within the last 10 years, we haven't seen that quite so much. But if you inflate like the £6 ticket prices of the 80s up to what it is now, it'd be about 16 quid, and we're already looking at minimum more than double that.
The only thing I'd say on that is the stadiums are an awful lot better now compared to what they were back then. It's a lot safer.
I think that's part of the wider point. It is the gentrification of football that we've seen, and I think maybe the 3% ticket price increase for next season wouldn't have been catastrophic in the sense of stopping loads and loads and loads of people from going the game, but it's more this idea that you can set a precedent that it goes up with the rate of inflation. From a point where it's already gone up more than the rate of inflation. At that stage, you are going to be looking long term at a lot of people not going the grounds anymore, and the actual makeup of who's inside the ground changing a lot. We've already seen that. Most of the added seats from the redevelopments over the last 10 years are hospitality seats. And that does affect the atmosphere of a stadium. And if FSG understand that, which they claim to with their marketing, then they should be sensitive, to fan protests and fan dissent about this kind of thing. And I think what it does, this reversal, and it is only a partial reversal, I think we've got to make that clear, is that it shows that fan power does get stuff done. And I think it will give belief to supporters that, in future, if they try and do anything like that again, that we can stand up, we can, make our voices heard, and ultimately we can have an effect on it. And we're at a point now where if they've committed to, looking for alternative solutions to, obviously what they claim to be rising costs, which, is true, but, as we know better than they do, that hits the fans more than it hits the club. Then potentially there's a way forward, but it also means that, if they then go back on those decisions, we can hold them to account over it. So...
And that's the thing, is
it
has happened so often now, hasn't it? It has happened. It's almost countless times where they've taken a decision, fans have made their voices heard, and it's changed. Does there come a point where?
Go on, sorry.
Does there come a point where FSG are a bit like, I'm fed up of this now?
Well, I was going to suggest two things. One, I'll throw it open to everybody else and say you've got to be selective when you are protesting. Had it just been an announcement that the ticket prices were going up 3% next season and that was it, there wouldn't be any protests, would there?
It was the 3-year thing.
Yeah. I just think there is an acceptance of certain, as I said before, things going up in price, but it was that they were committing to keep on pushing these prices up.
And when you've put in things like a supporters board that are there to have these conversations.
I'm pretty sure none of the supporters board went, that's a good idea. I think it's a bit give and take. And of course, the support as well, some of them will still be there when FSG have gone. I think that's something that they're aware of as well. Just going back to the whole, what was it? There was the furlough thing, there was the Super League thing, there was the £77 thing, and there's this one. They're the four main ones. And then there was it wasn't a protest, but where they tried to trademark Liverpool, which was more of it. That was very early, a bit of a silly thing to do. I think that was when they quite clearly weren't reading the room, as it were. They would never do that now.
There was some interesting steps, weren't there? In the early years.
Yeah, they got all the mistakes out.
Yeah,
but they're still making them. But then that's because they are human beings, I suppose, as much as some people would like them not to be.
They're also hedge fund managers.
But there is that. Yeah. They'd argue that when they took over, Liverpool were about to go out of business, and since then they've won the Premier League twice and won the Champions League, and they've had some of the best, probably the best team I've ever seen play for Liverpool.
They've been very effective.
So that's
hedge fund
exactly,
yeah. I'm not saying they're bad ones.
Exactly. This is the other thing that annoys me. Just talking generally now about football, it's like when people come in, it's very rare that you get owners come in and say, "Hey, we're just gonna." It does happen, but we're just going to asset strip this because it happened at Bury, didn't it? That was terrible what happened there. We're just going to asset strip this because it's like, well, why would you do that? Because if you bought this, you want to sell it for more, And what's the best way to sell any kind of sport institution? Make it successful and stable and stuff like that. So there's like at United with the Glazers, where quite clearly they've not so much given up as just wanted to keep it on an even keel, and they're quite happy just Champions League qualification most seasons and win the odd cup. But if you're a supporter, you want a bit more.
I've remembered now why there was that plain banner around the 7-0 was. There were stories around the time, weren't there, that they were potentially looking at selling, and it was actually just investment ended up being the
10% thing or something.
Oh, yeah. And just I remember the figures at the time were crazy in terms of what they bought the club for, from terms of what it's valued at now. It's exorbitant, huge figures, because they obviously bought it as a distressed kind of asset from Hicks and Gillette, but they've made money off it, obviously. I mean, it's a longer term thing, we know, but there will come, as you say, there will come a point where they decide that's enough. Where, I mean, doesn't look like there's anything like that imminent, though. It looks like they're
almost 16 years now. That's a long time for anybody to be in charge of a football club. Well, how long was David Moyes in charge of Liverpool? How long was with the Hicks and Gillette? It's
3 years.
Hicks and Gillette wasn't long.
No,
and obviously the landscape's changed massively since then, and that was 16, 20 years ago. And Liverpool are now. Took them a long time to get into the commercial age. Took them a long time to embrace the Premier League. They were the ones who, of all the leading clubs, got left behind because they were sticking with their traditions, and they struggled with it because they wanted to stay loyal to the kind of the ethos of the fan base. But over time that's changed slightly. I think everyone accepts that long gone are the days where it shouldn't be commercial. Now people actually want them to be, but not overly. And he's striking that balance. And he's striking that balance. And again, it goes back to the season tickets and the ticket prices. Is that I think there is an acceptance that they're never going to go down. They're only ever going to keep on going up until people stop buying them, and then they will bring them down. There's been no sign of that yet. But to do what they did over the 3-year thing, and you mentioned in line with inflation, was like, hang on a minute, that's a bit too much, because people could literally see.
Yeah,
I know my wage is not going to increase by that amount, and people are getting older, and if you've got a family, and then the other thing they've changed the cut-off point for young persons. That's changed, and also the thing that they're bringing in a child, not a child, young adult. That's it. Yeah, young adult section.
Yeah,
or adult child, which is what it was when I was growing up. Yeah, that was in the Anfield Road end as well, actually. Yeah. So they've obviously listened to parts of it, but they're never going to listen to all of it, because ultimately they're the ones in charge, and they'll always want to be the ones in charge. And the other thing, it's their money.
Yes, and we'll bring it back round then. One thing that will help with the money is finishing the Champions League, obviously, and we'll bring it on to Saturday. That's why Saturday could effectively confirm it. What are you going to do team-wise, Morgan? What would you? We'll perhaps leave the goalkeeper situation open, because we haven't heard yet what the situation is. So it's either Alisson or Woodman, but then pick your defence from there.
Is Neto fit?
I think I read that Chelsea don't have a lot of wingers, which is crazy considering they've got about 70 of them. Yeah, they're all injured or suspended, or that young lad got knocked on the head, didn't he, the other day? Didn't look good.
You made it sound like you just got rid of him.
It might be Chelsea.
What's his name? Is it Jason Derry? I want to say
Jesse Derry.
Jesse Derry. That's it.
Sean Derry's son.
Is it?
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
Son of Sean Derry.
Good to know.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I want to see Kirkes come back in.
Yes.
Look, he's going to be the left back going forward. We know that. And the more games he can get alongside Virgil van Dijk, the better. For our stability of our defence and his development. I think, we've all enjoyed seeing Robbo having a little run back in the team before he makes his grand farewell, which is going to be very sad indeed. But I think, I want to see the seeds of next season start to come to fruit. So I'll put Kirkes back in if he's fit. Obviously, Van Dijk, Canate. I think there's no reason not to continue with Curtis Jones at right back. And then obviously the goalkeeper just really depends on Alisson's fitness. I wouldn't be too worried if Woodman's back in, to be honest. I thought, he didn't have a great game in the last one, but as you say, he wasn't really at fault for any of the goals. Ahead of that, I'm sorry, Alexis, but I don't want to see you start any more games.
Stop.
We'll do Ian's defence.
We're doing section by section.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Okay. well, then, in that case, I'll
Neto
continue.
is out apparently.
Is he? Oh, good. Thank God someone knows something. Yeah, go on.
Right, fab. No, I'd probably start Szoboszlai, Gravenberch in front of the defence. Got to have Wirtz at 10.
Yeah, okay, we'll stop there again. Agree with that?
Go ahead.
Szoboszlai, Gravenberch,
You
Wirtz.
first.
Yes, I agree with that, yeah.
I don't know actually, because I'm not. I'm trying to go through the players.
It's hard.
It's hard. I've ran out of the. I've no interest whatsoever. Let's be honest.
Oh dear.
I will play. No, right. I'm going to play Gravenberch and McAllister. I'm going to play Szoboszlai as number 10.
Right. I'm with Morgan. I'm going to play Gravenberch and Szoboszlai because I think that is the two that we'll see going forwards, and then Wirtz is the 10. Yeah. So we'll start with you, Ian, for your forwards then.
Gakpo's got to play down the middle.
Yeah.
No, Isak.
Who else is? Oh, Isak's not going to play. I don't think. No, I don't think Isak's going to play. I also don't think Alisson's going to play either. That's just me, because I'm just so used to he's got a minor muscle strain. That means he's out for 3 months.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know what to do with the team, to be honest. You've thrown
It's a difficult one, isn't it? It
is a difficult one because I don't necessarily. I thought Frimpong was so ineffective against United that it certainly wasn't one of his best games. I don't necessarily think he deserves to be in the team.
But he might have to be.
But but then I think throwing in Ingamo from the start might be a bit much, because obviously he used to play for Chelsea and it becomes a massive.
It's not like he didn't play with the players he'll be up against.
No, but for him in his mind, it'll be because
I'm
I
starting.
remember they played against the under 18. I think it was the 18s or 21s last season, towards the end of last season, and I think they were getting beat 2-0 and they won 3-2 and he scored in it, and he was giving it. He was quite pleased with the fact that he'd scored in that particular game.
But isn't that good? That's not kind of what you want. Yeah. You want him to have his big moment, don't you? If he was to score against Chelsea, if he scored the winner against Chelsea, that's a massive
him coming
thing.
on a substitute would be better. Is basically what I'm saying. But then there's not. I don't really want to play Szoboszlai number 10, but you'll have to, because is there anybody else? The only other thing he could
Trey
do
Ione that I always want to keep playing.
But I think he might play towards. If they get through, I think he might play against Brentford or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens. So yeah, God, I'm glad I'm not the manager.
I know.
I'd be here all day trying to pick this team.
Well, I was going towards hoping Isak would play, and then having Gakpo, Isak, and Angomar on the right, which he did a little bit against United, didn't he? Starting off there.
They've just got no players.
But if Isak
this
doesn't
is what we
play,
learn from this conversation.
It's not great.
I mean, does Chiesa have to play? Surely not.
Oh, there's no chance.
No chance. No, he's not.
Hell will freeze over before that man gets to start.
He hasn't done enough, and he didn't take a particularly great throw in. Against Manchester United, which I didn't actually know. I was actually typing and looked up and I just thought, what's happened there? And I didn't actually. I believe that people were a little bit agitated by it. But sum up the season in one thing, A, and then B, I didn't see it. So that sums up my season as well. To be honest, I'm going to end up picking the same team as against United, but putting Kirkes in. But not playing the two down the middle, playing them with Gakpo, because the second half, when Liverpool did a lot better, it was Gakpo.
Gakpo should have started in the middle against United. He should have.
Yeah, I think Wirtz, while he's not best position is not on the left, I think he can still do a job there. And I think for this one, just needs must. Although again, I would rather have Szoboszlai as one of the deeper two. But I mean, what he might do, to be fair, what could happen? He's got
right back, Curtis into midfield. Everyone shifts up one.
I'm going to play McAllister as the number 10 and put Szoboszlai next to Gravenberch. There you go.
Ooh,
I've got a way around it. He did that. He's done that.
Yeah,
and I think I'm going to try that.
Okay,
it's not the worst shout. That I think.
I'm just going to copy what you said because I'm just copying your own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you might have to reassess that after what I'm about to say, because I really don't know what I'm going to do with this. I actually think I've got a feeling, and I know he was awful in the last game, but I think Frimpong again on the right, because I think if we start with a presence through the centre who's actually looking to get on the end of attacks, probably not going to be Isak, probably going to be Cody Gakpo, but I think that will just suit him better, because Wirtz's tendency is to drop deeper from that number 9 position if he starts as a false 9, whereas Gakpo will look to shift around, he'll look to go out wide, he'll look to run in behind, he'll look to. I know he doesn't really use his strength as probably as much as he should, but he's a bit more of a target to aim at for Frimpong around the outside. I don't love it. I don't really want to see Frimpong starting in the attack next season, but I think it's a case of needs must. I would start him on the right again, and Gamoa on the left, and presumably Gakpo through the middle, although, obviously I'd take Isak up front in a heartbeat if he's fit.
Yeah, obviously a lot depends on Isak, and we'll find out about that. Is 1:15, I believe, is the press conference?
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm probably with you again. I'm just going to copy you and stick with that. Because I do want to see Younger Mo start the game. I do. Predictions, Morgan. I'll go with you first.
1-1.
Liverpool 0, Chelsea 2.
Oh, God.
Last 3 games, I've just said they'll get beat. I'm just going to say they're going to get beat all the way through.
I've been quite good on the predictions of late. And I went for they were going to beat Everton, which no one else said. And I thought, I just think they will. And they did. And then whatever the other one was, I did that. Yeah, I basically made it happen. Yeah. So I'll do a similar thing, and I'll say Liverpool just edge it 2-1, but no one has a good time.
There's no good times to be at Anfield this season.
No, it's not. And on that, we'll be back to discuss it on Monday. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend, enjoy the game if you can, and we'll see you on Monday.